StitchyTube. Settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello, StitchyTube number 11. It's been a while since I did an actual StitchyTube video. I've done a few tutorials and market type videos recently, but I'm back with just a regular installment in my StitchyTube thing that I got going on. It's good to see you guys. We're having a good day here. It's Friday, like the 23rd or something of March, and it was a good week. It was a very productive week. I've got very happy cats right now. They're kind of getting used to the idea of me working at home, and they're like, the first week they were like, do you have somewhere you need to be? Because no, you're gonna stay? Okay, that's cool. And so they're very, very loving and very sweet. Grumpy cat right now is just kind of not wanting to leave me alone. She just is needing love and affection, and that's nice. I'm gonna start by answering some questions that came from the last video or two that were asked in the comments. If you have any questions for me, please leave them below and I will answer them soon. The first question is from Glinda Olive. She wanted to know what the difference is between fabrics like Joe Boleyn, Lugana, that kind of thing. So Joe Boleyn and Lugana are both considered even weave fabrics. They're called even weaves. They are not made out of linen. So Lugana is 100% cotton and Joe Boleyn is a blend. So it's got some poly in it. And so Lugana has a very flat look to it, where it's a very matte kind of fabric. It has a stiffer, cotton feel. And Joe Boleyn is kind of a smoother fabric. It's very drapey, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it from that poly that's in it. And they come in different counts. Lugana, I know you used to be able to get it in 20 count, 28, 32, I think were the 3 counts. And Joe Boleyn 28 and 32, I think, are the counts that you can get Joe Boleyn in, I think. And so they're just fabrics that you can do needlework on. Now linen, there are a lot of different types of linen. A lot of people hear words like Belfast and Cashel and Newcastle, and those are all Zweigert fabrics. And Zweigert names their fabrics after places in Ireland. Well, or the company that makes them does, I guess. So Belfast, all Belfast means is 32 count. All Cashel means is 28 count. Edinburgh linen is 36 count. Newcastle is 40, and Kingston is 50. And Cork is 19 count. Did I get them all? I think that's all of them. And so the names of those linens just mean, that's just a way to identify what count that fabric is. Linen fabric is typically 100% linen, made from linen fibers. It is, so Joe Boleyn and Lugana, the fibers are going to be very even. So the fibers will be consistently shaped, As an example, my friend once made her grandmother, who was like 90 at the time, some hand-spun, hand-knitted mittens. And so she spun the wool and then knitted mittens from them, and she gave them to her grandma, and her grandma was kind of shocked at the lumpiness of the yarn. And she said to Jennifer, you can buy yarn that's like, you don't have to spin it yourself, which totally misses the point. But grandma was like, why would you want something lumpy? Linen is the same way. Linen is going to be, the fibers are going to be some thicker, some thinner. Some people really like that. Some people really don't. It's just a personal preference thing. It doesn't make any fabric better or worse. Can you stitch samplers on linen? Yes. You can also stitch them on Joe Boleyn. You can stitch a sampler on Ada. I believe you should pick fabrics that you like to work on, because we've all probably been there where you've chosen a fabric and you stitch on it and you're like, oh, I hate this fabric. And then you just don't want to stitch on it. So if you like stitching on Ada, or you like stitching on 50 count linen, go for it. Nobody says you have to use one kind of fabric over another. There are other types of fabrics, obviously, like Ada is, has more of that kind of, it's usually cotton, and it has more of that kind of squares look, where you've got a hole in each corner of a square. It's very easy to count. They come in different counts too. You can get Clostern, which is like a 7 count. And you can get 11 count, and you can get 14, 16, 18, 22 count. Ada is considered like a hardanger fabric. And so, that's kind of the differences between some of the main types of fabrics. Tammy Maddox asked, what are your favorite fabrics, brands, and colors to get that antique look for stitching samplers? I love hand-dyed fabrics, and when I stitch samplers, I've used a lot of Lakeside linens in the vintage line because they have kind of that more mottled, kind of slightly splotchy look. I've used some Picture This Plus, which is great. Picture This Plus is going to have quite a bit more modeling to it. And I think people oftentimes freak out because they see a big piece of fabric with modeling and variation on it, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so busy. But remember, you're going to stitch over a lot of that busyness, and then your frame is going to cover the corners. So when you're looking at a big piece of fabric, you're looking at all the splotches. But once you get your project done, it's not as pronounced. Does that make sense? So don't freak out about that. I really like R&R Reproductions fabrics that are the coffee overdyes because I feel like they have kind of that authentic grungy look that a sampler usually has. Because you got to figure these old samplers have been around for 200 years. They've got some dust and dirt kind of mucked in there. And so, you know, the commercial dyes are very nice, and they're very clean and very stable. And it's not even that the coffee dyes are not. I just feel like you get with a coffee dye or a tea dye, it really makes it look old. So that's what I like. But natural linen is a good fabric to have around for stitching samplers. Natural flax is a good color of linen. Those are that's a Zweigert fabric. It's the flax color. Lamb's wool is similar if you like permin linens. But antique ivory is nice. There are a whole bunch of different sand can be really nice. Anyway, I hope that helps. Mary Whitmer said, how do you decide if something can be stitched over one or over two? The first thing you need to see is, are there any parts of this that are already over one? So if you were stitching a sampler that had an over one verse, you cannot stitch the sampler over one because you would have to stitch the verse over half. I mean, you maybe could do it, but that would be insanity. So that's the first thing. Also, you want to look at, are there any stitches that are going to be difficult to, you know, if it has specialty stitches, are there stitches that will be unable to be kind of transferred to that idea of over one? Another thing that I look at is kind of more for a more simplicity of design, not as much shading, but that's just a personal preference. You can totally, anything that's all cross stitches, you can stitch over one. And I've seen some really lovely things stitched over one. For me, I like, it makes it a lot smaller when you're stitching over one thread. And so I'm going to show you an example, and it's not specifically over one, it's silk gauze versus a regular sampler. Now this is a Prairie Schooler, I think it might be from the Spring Samplers book. My friend Kathy stitched this for me, isn't it pretty? And so this is stitched over 2 threads on a 32 count fabric, I believe. And it's really, really cute. And then this, I believe, is from the same book. And that is stitched over 1 thread on a 40 count silk gauze. So you can see what a difference it makes in the size. But because Prairie Schooler designs are, I don't want to call them simplistic, but the shapes, you don't have a lot of shading and a lot of kind of confetti stitching. It makes it quick to stitch, and it looks really nice small. But I think, you know, if you find a project that you love and you want to try doing it over one, you know, give it a go. The main thing is just, is there going to be anything on the piece that you can't stitch over one? Some people also, when they're stitching over one, like to stitch on the even weave fabrics like I talked about before, Joe Boleyn or Lugana, because each stitch will be the same size, because those fibers are going to be a consistent width all the way across. If you stitch over one on linen, just remember that some of the threads are going to be thin and some of the threads are going to be thick, which means your stitches will vary in size, which I like, because remember, I like wonkiness. But if that bugs you, you may not want to choose a linen for that, or at least choose a piece of linen where you feel like the threads are very consistent. It's my experience that the Zweigert linens like Belfast and Cashel are pretty even keel as far as those threads all being the same size, but you are going to get some discrepancies. Julie Martinez wanted recommendations for a first sampler to stitch, and she was wondering if I could think of anything that had a cat. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, I mean, how do you pick? There are so many samplers, And I feel like, a lot of you are saying, I never thought about stitching a sampler before, but now, hearing about them, I really want to give it a try. They're addictive, and there are so many samplers that you can choose from. And so I guess if I was going to say, what's my recommendation? Pick one that you love. Whether it's big, whether it's small, whether it's colorful, all one color, muted colors, really symmetrical and even and neat, really wonky and crazy and weird. Love it. And you'll know it when you see it. Like, you'll come across a sample and you'll be like, oh, that, for some reason that speaks to me. I love that. Do that one because you should love what you're stitching on. We don't get a lot of free time to stitch. And so when you're stitching, you should enjoy what you're working on. And so choose something that you really, really like. There are a number of reproduction samplers if you're looking for a repro that have cats in them. And in fact, I own a sampler with a cat in it. And I was going to show it, but I'm going to save it for later. But so you can Google that. There is a cool one by the Scarlet Letter called Cat that is really cool. And it's kind of an over one piece. And it's not a sampler per se, but it's very historic looking and kind of wonky and weird. And I like that one. It's spelled Catte if you want to look on their website at scarlet-letter.com. I did bring this one. This is one that my friend Jen stitched for me a couple of Christmases ago. We did a sampler exchange. It's called Blackwater Hollow by Stacy Nash. It's not a reproduction, but it has a cat on it, and it's not too big. And if you haven't stitched a sampler before, maybe stitching something kind of more moderately sized would be enjoyable for you. If you want to just see if you kind of like the more primitive style. This one's awfully cute. It's not very many colors, so it wouldn't be a terribly expensive project to do. And I think it is very, very cute. And you can find that Stacy has got an Etsy store, and so this chart should be there. And I'll put a link below to Stacy's store. But ask your local shop too, because they may have a copy of this. It did come out a few years back, but it is still really, really cute, isn't it? Love that pot, that cauldron. Okay, and then last question. Blaine Harkins wanted to know, can you stitch in hand with fancy floss? And yes, you can. I mean, I do. And when I stitch with sampler threads or Weeks Dye Works, I stitch the regular way, meaning I start on my left and I go all the way to the right with the first part of the cross stitch, and then I come all the way back over the top with the crosses. And a lot of people will say, oh, you should cross stitch each X at a time. You can do it that way. It'll give your piece a really much more variegated look, which is cool. I like mine to look not quite as striped. So I like to stitch really fast. And I think you know that. And so I just go all the way to the side and all the way back, and it's quick and it still looks variegated, just kind of a little bit less striped, which I like. So yes, you absolutely can stitch in hand with your threads. Okay, I want to give a few shout outs. I haven't done shout outs for a while. I do watch you guys, and I just never think to shout you out. And so I need to start doing that because I like so many of you. You're just so cool. I want to shout out Susie Reno, my good friend Sue. She was the other half of Raise the Roof Designs, and she just posted her first video about a week ago or so. And it's really, really nice. She's a really great person. She shares some fun projects, and her video is, I'll link these videos below, or I'll link these channels below so you can go find them. So go check out Sue. She is in Minnesota, Kimball, and she made her video, and it's like a 22-minute video or something like that, and she texted me and was like, my video's been loading all night, and it's at 2%. What's going on? And I was like, oh, people don't realize the upload speed can be one of the trickiest things about posting videos on YouTube. And we actually ended up switching to cable because it would take me literally 26 hours to upload a video, which is just insanity. And now it takes about an hour to upload a video. So anyway, her video finally got posted. It's really great. You'll enjoy Sue a lot. So check her out. Check out Julie at Gulf Coast Stitcher. She's got 6 videos or so, and I just discovered her this week. She popped up on my feed with her daughter, and they were just so cute and smiley together, and it was really fun to see them. And they're not too far from here. I think they're in Florida. And so I enjoyed Julie a lot. I got to catch up with the rest of her videos, though, so I can kind of figure out, what she's doing, what she's all about. And then somebody else that I really like is Mrs. Vensel, I think is how you say it. She's also known as the Cross Stitch Counselor. and her name's Rachel. And I guess I don't know where she lives, but I've been watching her for a while. She doesn't post, like super often, but she's really, really sweet. I like her projects. And one of the cool things she does is she's a counselor in life. That's her job. And so at the end of each video, she kind of says, okay, if you want to go, you can, because I'm not going to talk about stitching right now, but you can stay if you want to. And she talks about just mental health issues. Like one of them was really good. It was about like gratitude. And, like how thankfulness can change your perspective day to day. And it was really cool. And one of them that she had, fairly recently was about, one of the elements was about movement and the idea of like, sometimes we get stuck in a rut and you can't get out of it. And sometimes all you need is just like a little push, a little tiny bit of movement. And so at the start of this year, I was like, guys, this is going to be our year of movement. And it has been so far. I quit my job and I've gone back to designing full time. My son Harrison is getting ready to go to France to visit his girlfriend who is teaching over there, and he is thinking about moving there for a little while. My other son is just signed a lease on an apartment, and he'll be moving out in mid-May. And my husband is visiting the orthodontist and is finally going to get braces after all these years. So, but it just takes a little bit of... And so thanks for that. Thanks for that idea of movement, because really, once you get the ball rolling in another direction, it's pretty easy to keep following that ball. So I'm going to recommend all three of those channels. They're very, very nice. Okay. I'm going to announce a giveaway winner from last time. She won some dollar deals that I got last time that were really cool. Her name is Dawn O. You won the giveaway this time. And so please send me a YouTube private message with your address and I'll send you your goodies. The question was, what are you all into? And she said she was all into Dove chocolates. She said they're delicious and they have sweet little messages in them. And so it's always fun to check out the comments in my StitchyTube videos because I ask a question. So it's fun to see what people have to say. I will be doing another giveaway as always with my StitchyTube videos. And so you'll just have to stay tuned because I'm not ready to do that quite yet. All right, whips. Have been working on some things. Last week I spent a good part of the week like printing and shipping and, just kind of getting caught up after market. But I try to do, one of the things that I kind of stopped doing when I had my store and I was designing is I stopped stitching pieces by other designers. And I like to. And sometimes when you're a designer, you kind of get bogged down in stitching your own things. And, it's fun, but it is work because you stitch your own things more critically than you do somebody else's. Somebody else's is like, oh, this is all a surprise. What color did she pick for this flower? And so I'm trying to do stitching, here and there of other designers' things because I enjoy it. And so I've got a few things that I'm working on. One is this Miss Marianne Bourne, 1791 from Hands Across the Sea. I picked this chart up last year at market, and it's so pretty, isn't it? Oh, my Lord. It's so pretty. And I'm stitching mine on a piece of hand-dyed R&R fabric that I had. I think they did theirs on sand dune, which is a little bit more kind of orange blushy. And I picked an R&R coffee tea dye, and that's how far I am so far. And that's how far I am so far. And I'm just stitching mine in DMC. And so it's been really fun so far. And the cool thing is, a lot of times I'll start in the upper corner with a sampler, but I wanted to start on that base scalp because it's just cute, isn't it? So I'm doing that. I had to go to Hobby Lobby and pick up some more floss colors because some of these colors I'm going to go through a couple of skeins of it probably. And so I wanted to make sure I had enough. Another piece that I did, oh no, I don't remember what book this is in. This is in one of the new Blackbird Designs books, the one with the Adam and Eve on the cover. Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, maybe is what it's called. And so this is just a little pincushion that it was one of my favorite little things at market. I thought it was just so cute. And so I stitched this on a 40 count scrap of linen that I had from R&R again. And put my initial on there. And this was in sampler threads, weeks, don't remember, fancy floss. So I made some color copies like they do, and I want to make some boxes with those copies. And I do plan on finishing that as a pincushion like they did. I'm trying to get my hands on some sawdust because I like the idea of finishing with sawdust. And then this is one that I'm working on. you know, a Shakespeare's Peddler design. I've got the Jenny Bean for the Parlor series, which I showed last video. And I've got to start, there you can see Jesus down there, on the Good Shepherd part of it. And I'm not going to show you the chart of it, but you can at least see how close I am or how far I got last night. I just started last night. And it's been really fun so far. It's got some rolling hills, some trees, some sheep, some kind of folk arty angels. And then there's it says, "Let the children come to me" in the middle, which I like that. So that's what I've been working on this week. That little Blackbird Designs piece did not take very long to do. It was pretty fun also. Okay. Oh, and then I guess I was going to show you this too. I don't know that I did this design for Market in 2015. And I sold out of kits at Market. And I had gotten more threads to make more kits, and then I went away for a few years. But now I'm back, and I still have the threads. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make up some of these Fractorbird kits. And so you don't get the fabric, but you get the overdyed threads. A lot of them are from Nina's hand dyed, and she's in Budapest. And then you get the jute and the dyed black spool button, along with instructions on how to do the finishing. But Jen at Jen's Stitching Niche, and I'll put a link below, has still got some of these left, and a bunch of shops picked up these kits too. And once they're gone, I probably won't put this one back together again, but that is Fractorbird. Okay, now it's time for what I'm all into. And I haven't done a list of 10 recently, and since it's been a little while since I did a StitchyTube video, I'm going to do 10 things that I'm all into and combine two of my regularly scheduled programs together. Today, the post office is releasing Mr. Rogers stamps, and so I'm going to go get some later at the post office. I'm really excited about that. You know, I like Mr. Rogers. It also, it was announced that there's going to be a biopic that hits the theaters this summer on Mr. Rogers' life, and it's not the one with Tom Hanks. I think that one is still in the works. This is just an actual like documentary about Mr. Rogers. I'll put a link below to the Mr. Rogers trailer. Bring a box of Kleenex. Just plan on weeping your way through it. It looks amazingly wonderful. And, you know, watching it, I realized like how kind of revolutionary and almost radical he was in his gentleness. And people in the comments are like, oh my gosh, where's Mr. Rogers when we need him? He's here. Like, he's still, you can watch him still, and you can still, you know, go watch the movie this summer and read about him and watch his shows. He's not gone. He's with us, and there's the little Mr. Rogers in all of us. We can all be Mr. Rogers, right? Okay, less serious than that. Another thing, number 2 thing that I'm all into on my list of 10 is Jelly Belly raspberries and blackberries. These are hard to find, but I get mine at TJ Maxx. So if you have a TJ Maxx, you might find them there. They're a couple dollars. They're made by the Jelly Belly Company. And I did get to tour the Jelly Belly Company a while back, and it was really neat. They use actual fruit juice and food flavorings, like actual food, in their jelly bean and candy flavors. And so there's actually puree in here from blueberries and raspberries. They're really soft. The little balls that are on the outside of the candies are really fine. It's not like a gumdrop. It's, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of a gel candy on the inside with these little tiny candy balls on the outside. And so I took them to the checkout, and there were two girls up there, like 20-ish or so, and they were doing the checkout. And the one that was checking me out goes, oh yeah, you know, I've seen these, but I've never tried them. And the other girl said, oh, I've never tried those either. And I said, oh, they're really good. And the one girl's like, oh, I don't know, I'd be nervous or whatever. So I bought them, I paid for them, and then I said, would you ladies like to try them? And they were like, yeah, I want to eat candy at work. So I cracked open a bag and, you know, poured them each a few, and they put it in their mouth, and they were like, oh, these are really good. So if you like candy, those are very good. And while I'm on the topic of candy, the number 3 thing that I'm all into is Neapolitan M&Ms. Kind of weird. We were at Market. Sue and I went to Target to get snacks and supplies for Market. And we saw these, and she was like, oh, look at that Neapolitan, you know, M&Ms. Should we get them? And we just decided, yeah, we were going to be adventurous and just try them. So they're bigger, kind of bigger than a regular M&M. And when you bite into them, you can see a picture here where there's several layers, and it tastes like Neapolitan ice cream. It's crazy. Chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry all in one M&M. It's with the Easter stuff at Target. I did not see them at Walmart. I'm thinking it may be a limited edition type flavor unless it's really popular. So if you want to try them, I would hustle up and get a bag. But if you like M&Ms, these are really good. Fourth thing that I'm all into right now is cooking every darn night. And it feels so good. My job used to get me home a lot of nights, not until 7 o'clock or so. Or even a little bit later. And while that's not terribly late, it is kind of late if you want to cook dinner and be domestic. And so, and it was a very physical and, mentally kind of draining job. And so a lot of nights would get home and just eat just something out of the pantry. You know what I mean? Just not into making dinner. So now that I'm home, I've been cooking every night. It's great. The guys are like, oh, we're getting so spoiled. Last night we had, one of my favorite easy dinners to make, which was a kind of a baked potato party, which is super easy. You just get a big bag of baked potatoes. It's like $6 at Sam's Club. Scrub them, throw them in the oven, bake them for about an hour and a half. And then you just come up with toppings. So I do chopped green onions. My mouth is starting to water there. So they were so good. Chopped green onions, chopped black olives, shredded cheese, just whatever you got in the cupboard. Harrison took out the ranch dressing. We had sour cream, butter, salt, pepper. I cooked up some bacon and chopped it up really fine. You could do melted cheese and broccoli. Just kind of like look around and see what you got in your cupboard and in your fridge. And then you just kind of set the ingredients out and let everybody build their own baked potato. And I made some green beans to go along with it. It was really, really good. Another thing that I'm all into, number 5, is making jam. I made blueberry jam this week. Last summer, my husband had some friends of his that went and picked blueberries, and they gave us a bunch of them. And he was out of town, and like the boys weren't around, and I ate some of them, but I was like, I gotta freeze these because I'm never gonna finish them all, and they're so good. So I froze them with the intention of someday making jam, and I did. So I had some Certo liquid pectin, and the instructions are right in the box, and it'll tell you how much you need of any kind of fruit. If you haven't ever made it, it's super easy. You just kind of mush up the fruit, peel it, take out the seeds, whatever. And you cook it with sugar and this. You have to follow the instructions carefully. Don't deviate. Don't be fancy and add extra things because it won't set. So it was just sugar, this pectin, a little bit of lemon juice, and the blueberries. And it is so they're locally grown blueberries. It tastes like blueberry pie filling candy. Amazing, like super blueberry flavor, and it's actual blueberries. There's nothing fake about it. 6th thing I'm all into is long jeans. And I'm tall-ish. I'm not super tall. I'm like 5'9". I've got long legs. I'm German. And so it's always been hard for me to find pants that are a regular size. I kind of don't think it's fair that men can go to the store and find jeans and it's like, are you a 34, a 33, a 32, a 36? And it's like they get to buy pants that fit their legs. And women, it's like sizes. So it's like, how big are you around? And we don't really care how tall you are. And so I'm sure some of you who are shorter have the same kind of frustration where you buy things that are too long. The problem with not being able to buy things that are long enough is that I can't make pants be longer. I'm not going to add lace to the bottom of my pants. And so I hate it when I have pants that don't, go down to my heel, past my ankle bones and everything. And so the Gap outlet online had a sale. They always have sales going. And I got a pair of boot cut jeans. I'm wearing them right now. Long for $22 free shipping, which is super cheap, and they're great, and they will wear great. They wash up great. They'll last forever. And so unfortunately they don't carry the longs anymore at the outlets. And I don't think they do at the stores either, that the long you have to order online, which I get it. But if you have trouble finding long enough pants, for me, Gap and then sometimes Banana Republic will have longer ones. But like for me to shop at like, Ann Taylor or Talbot's, and even just like a lot of the mall brands, none of those are long enough. And so that's the luck I have with long jeans, the Gap. I'm all into number 7, Wes Anderson movies. And if you haven't ever seen one, you should go check one out. He's done, probably 7 or 8 or 9 movies. His most recent one was The Grand Budapest Hotel, which was a great movie. Funny, action, mystery, just like perfect, amazing, amazing movie. And he does, The Royal Tenenbaums, I feel like, was one of his most kind of famous movies where people really kind of started recognizing who he was. He did, The Darjeeling Limited is one of my favorite movies. He did The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Just a lot of great quirky movies. He did one called The Fantastic Mr. Fox that was a stop motion picture that kids would like, but adults would really like it too. George Clooney actually plays the main character, and it's very good. But this weekend, Isle of Dogs is opening, and it's another stop action movie. So it's animated in that it's characters that they move a little and take a picture, move a little, take a picture, move a little, take a picture, that kind of thing. And I enjoy that style of animation. It takes a long, long time to do. And his style is just so cool and quirky. He's kind of hipstery, but I like hipsters. And so if you're looking for a good movie to go to this weekend, check out Isle of Dogs. It's supposed to be very, very good. We have to run out and see the Wes Anderson movies as soon as they come out because Hattiesburg is small and his movies are not well attended here. And so they always start them in just the smallest theater on the side. And I always feel like when we go to a Wes Anderson movie that everybody in the theater should stand up and introduce themselves to each other because we're all people that, enjoy the same kinds of things. But number 8 thing that I'm all into is cleaning out the fridge. It needed to be done so badly. And talk about not being motivated to do something. I hate cleaning out the fridge. It's one of my least favorite jobs to do. And it's not that it's hard. And it's not even that it's that gross. It just takes forever. It took 3 hours to do the fridge and the freezer. And so what I did is I just turned on FlossTube and just let you guys keep me company. And it was nice, because it just made it not feel so bad. But I threw out lots of just expired stuff, sticky stuff, gross stuff, things that I was like, I don't even know what this is anymore. And so it looks so nice. Sometimes I'm in the kitchen, I just open up the fridge and I'm like, oh, it's so nice to look into the fridge and see it be clean. But it's good because it's, you got to do it once in a while, clean out that fridge. And especially with a bunch of guys, stuff gets tipped over and sticky. Number 9 thing I like doing, thing that I'm all into, is going shopping in my slippers. And it was kind of accidental this week. I went to Target, and maybe I'll actually just show this now. I was going to show this during my stash flash, but I got these containers at Target. I told Steve, I said, I need some new totes to put my charts in, the ones that I design and sell, and the ones, just the ones that I have. And I like these because they make a nice clippy noise. And anyway, so we went to Hobby Lobby and they had some there, $25. I was like, what? Then we went to Office Depot, $25. And I was like, I kind of feel like these used to be $10. And Steve was like, oh, you're getting old. Back in the day, they used to be $10. Went to Target, $10 for the big size. This one was $6.99. But I went to see if I could get a few more of this size. It works really well for your half-size charts, and I'll show you what I did to organize. It's got a seal, where it's like kind of a watertight, moisture-tight seal, where it's kind of a foam, so it clips shut really nice and tight. And then what I did is just used sticky notes to put on the front, so I can see okay, anything from here back is With Thy Needle, and anything from here back is Blackbird Designs. And that's just a quick way of making, little dividers. Okay, so I went back to see if they had more of this size, and they did not, but I'll go back. And I went with Graham. I had picked him up from work, and I said, hey, can we stop at Target real quick? And we're walking into Target, and we're by the greeting cards. And in my mind, I went, what shoes am I wearing? My feet are so comfortable. And I looked down, and I'm in my slippers at Target. And I was like, oh my gosh, Graham, I just went to Target in my slippers. He said, well, there's nothing you can do about it now. And it's like, nope, I guess not. I guess I'm in my slippers. So anyway, why not? Who cares? Who cares? Go shopping in your slippers if you like them. Nobody should judge you for that. Okay, last thing that I'm all into, number 10 on my list of 10 is British documentaries. I love watching shows by the BBC, and I love shows about ye old England. there are just really some really great ones on YouTube. And one that I've watched 3 times now, I think, is called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And I'll put a link below to that. And it's with Simon Armitage, and he's a poet. And he did a translation of this old English story poem, because it was in Old English. So he translated it, and it's a documentary just about the story, which is very interesting. And he's got a very gentle personality. He's very sweet, very thoughtful, and he reads, the poem throughout. It's very, very neat. But it's, I like to watch FlossTube, but sometimes I like to just flip on a documentary, and there are a lot of really great British documentaries on YouTube. I like to watch about archaeology and, like I said, English history. I watched one last night about the Battle of Hastings, which was really interesting, and they had the the tapestry, the Bayeux tapestry with King Harold. It was really cool. But so that's just another thing that I'm all into. And that was 10, my list of 10, but it's 10 things of what I'm all into. So you know what it's time for me to say? That's what I'm all into this week. Okay, I want to make a quick correction. My Here Lie My Needles chart, I realized when I got home, I had omitted one direction on the chart. If you bought the Here Lie My Needles chart, the chart's not wrong. It's just that there was a direction that I should have included, which is that the verse and the alphabet are charted in multiple colors. And when I stitched mine, I chickened out and stitched all of it in charcoal. I left it charted in multiple colors because I still think that's cool. And my intention was to put a sentence on the chart that said, I stitched mine all in charcoal, but I have left it charted in multiple colors if you would like to stitch it that way, because I think that's neat. But I forgot to put that sentence on the cover. So just know that if you got that chart, if you want it to look just like mine, you're going to need to stitch all the letters and words in charcoal. But otherwise, stitch it, kind of confetti-like I did. I think it would be neat that way too. I don't know. I don't usually chicken out like that, but that's what I did. Okay, quick stash flash of things that I've received in the last couple of weeks. It was my birthday on the 12th, and I thank those of you who wished me a happy birthday. This is something I got from Susie Reno, my friend Sue. What is it, you ask? It is a yodeling pickle. Because when you're good friends with somebody, you get them a yodeling pickle. So thank you, Sue. She got me some other really cool things too. Jen got me some box of chocolates with kittens on the cover, and then she got me a bottle of raspberry liqueur for my raspberry martinis that I like to make, which was very, very nice. My husband got me some things from my Amazon wish list, including Yoko Sato's Scandinavian quilts. And I just am kind of obsessed with this lady. Her stuff is it just kills me, slays me. Even if you don't quilt, her oh my Lord, how beautiful is that quilt? Somebody make me that quilt, okay? Just somebody make me that quilt. And maybe someday, look at this bag. It's just a super fun book to look through. Look at this pretty, just so many great projects. She's so talented. Her color palette is amazing. And then, here, look at this little basket that you can make with mushrooms on it for your threads. Cute, cute, cute. And then, her directions are really thorough. So, and then it comes with a packet of templates in the back. And so you can just find this on Amazon. Yoko Sato, Scandinavian quilts. He also got me this Jane Nicholas book, Shakespeare's Flowers in Stump Work. I have a number of her other books that she's got about insects and other kind of stump worky things. Stump work is a raised type of embroidery that they used to do back in the day, hundreds of years ago. And it's amazing. It's fussy, but it's wire and pretty threads and, just kind of, and so here you can see So anyway, it's all kinds of flowers. Let's see if she's got like any kind of a, here you can see, well, that's maybe just what the cover is, but you can see the samplers. So this is another fun book to look at. I saw this, I think, at Nordic Needle before they closed, and that's when I put it on my wish list. Here's examples of actual stump work from the 17th century, so you can kind of see what it looked like. How pretty is that? And they would sometimes make like jackets and bodices and caps and like slippers that they could wear to Target out of stump work, and it's just so pretty. I would really like to try one of these. I should just make it a goal this year to try one of these flowers and see how I like it. It would just be super fun. Her directions are very thorough, so I would imagine that it's not too bad. Okay, so those are things that I received. I also got this in the mail. I ordered it at Market because Queenstown Samplers was out. It's AR 1879, and it's a really cool sampler. It's mainly in red with kind of some just kind of wispy blue kind of here and there. And the cover doesn't do it justice because we all know the cover never does it justice, but it's really, really big, and it's a very cool sampler, and you know, we all love red on a sampler. I just thought that one was super neat. I also at Market had seen the Blackbird Designs loose feathers patterns that they're in the middle of right now. There are 6 now, and then they've got 3 more that'll come out. And I just thought that they were so neat that I went ahead and got the charts. They're all in like kind of blues and browns, which is really pretty. So I got the first 6. So this is She Sights a Bird, Sing a Song of Seasons. This I think is my favorite one. The Light Upon the Lawn, All the Hills Echoed, which that bird is funny to me. He's like, ugh. I like that. It's Spring Fever, and Pleasures of the Fleeting Year. So I just think those are very, very pretty. They're done on different fabrics. They're not all done on the same fabric, but you definitely could probably stitch them all together. I think those are so neat. Okay, now this last little stash acquisition was an Etsy find, I think. I think I typed reproduction sampler into Etsy like I do once in a while just to see if anything interesting pops up. And this book popped up by Gloria Nickel. And it came out in 1995, so it's an older book. It's definitely out of print. And the person who listed this only had one, so don't go looking for the one I got because it's gone. But you may be able to find it somewhere else. She put lots of pictures of what was inside, including 2 reproduction samplers, because it's kind of a mishmash of things. And there are some cool projects, but look at this sampler. That's so pretty. That's so pretty. And then the other one, and it's neat because the charts are actually just kind of done color pencil style, so there aren't any symbols. You just go by the colored pencil markings in the squares. And then there's the other one. But the reproduction samplers are actually in this book. And there are other projects too. But those were the 2 that I really liked. And there's kind of like an introductory lesson to like how do you cross stitch, and there are some other things. But you know, the samplers, that's why I bought it. Anyway, Jane Nickel, cross stitch techniques, projects, patterns, motifs. Very, very cool. Okay, so that's my stash flash. Up and coming for me, I've got a few things that I've been working on this week. I've really been working hard on building a new website. I'm going to be at kittenstitcher.com, and I'm doing it with Wix, which is a really great platform where you pay a monthly fee and they let you host your website. You get your own domain name. You can do sales. They don't take a percentage of your sales, and then they have all these bells and whistles. So I'll be able to blog there. I'll be able to do a newsletter that you can sign up for a newsletter and get on a list very easily. It's going to be searchable. I can have products on there. If I want to sell downloads, I can sell downloads. So that's something I'm considering for, I know a lot of you have trouble, you know, like you're overseas or you just want to download something real quick and start on it right away. So I'm considering having some of my things be available as downloads. So that's one thing that I'm working on. I probably am going to get rid of Facebook and my old blog, because I want to have everything kind of all in one spot. And so I'm just kind of, you know, starting over fresh. And so that's what I'm doing. I also am working on some ideas for some kitten stitcher designs. I'm hoping by the end of the summer that I'll have at least 1 or 2 designs out that are different from the samplers that I do for Shakespeare's Peddler. So I'd like to do some things that have, kind of more color, more similar to what I used to do with Raise the Roof, but maybe not quite as wacky. So that's another thing that I'm working on. I'm also planning next week on shooting a few tutorials on how to do picture framing at home. And so I'm going to do one video on how to pick out a frame, how to measure your piece, just basic tools that you'll need, and things to gather, that kind of thing. And then I'll have another video on how to do your stretching. And I think that would really benefit a lot of people. I've had a lot of people request me doing a tutorial on framing, and I'd be happy to show you how I do things, and maybe it will help you to do your things. And then I also would like to do a kind of a broadcast from the Lucky Rabbit, which is a really cool market that we have in Hattiesburg. It's open 1 weekend a month from Thursday to Sunday. And it's crafts and vintage things and quirky things, and they have cool music, and it's in this old warehouse, and everybody's displays are, I just think you guys would really enjoy it because it's very, just vintage, kitschy, funny, fun, lots of one-of-a-kind things. I used to have a booth there, and I did it for about 6 months, and it just got to be too much because I was doing a bunch of other things at the time. But I would like to show y'all what the Lucky Rabbit's about. Okay, so last thing then is to do my giveaway for this. Oh no, I had a couple more stash things. I got to show you a couple more stash things. Are you good? You're good? So I went to Hobby Lobby to get more boxes because I wanted to get, the boxes that I did for my tutorial on the basket of eggs thing. And they had a new color of these boxes. Of this kind of, it's kind of a greenish gray white color. So I got a couple of those. I think through tomorrow, all of this stuff is half off. The wood things are half off. So these are $4. So I got 2 of those, and I got 2 red ones because my plan is to do more in that series and to do a basket of this and a basket of that. And I'm not going to give away too much, but I just like the finishing idea so much, and it's just a cheap way to finish. So I got those, but then they had these right next to there that I hadn't seen before, and it's kind of a similar idea, but it's long. And so once again, you could still finish something in this box. And what were these? These were $12, so I paid $6 for these. And they had it in this red color, grungy red color, and then this blue, kind of a pale teal blue color. So I got a couple of those too. So check those out, especially, Saturday. Because then they won't be on sale again for a few weeks. But they typically do their wood stuff on sale maybe about once a month or so. I also found in their spring section a couple of cool things. They had these just came in, these little berry baskets, like the old style, but it's ceramic. And their spring stuff is all 40% off. So this was $3. It was $3. And it's really cute. And I'm not sure, maybe I'll put some of my wool strawberries in it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I really like it for $4. And this was in the spring section too. And I just thought it's very heavy. And I thought this would be really cute with a couple of, wool pin cushions, to do a pin cushion in each side, or to do a pin cushion in one side and then use the other side for storage or something like that. But that was $16, and then it was 40% off, so whatever that is. But I just thought that was really pretty. They have a lot of really, really cute stuff right now. They've kind of gone way into that kind of vintage farmhouse, dusty, dirty, grungy, which I like. And of course, stitchers, I think if you like samplers, that's kind of right up your alley too. Okay, that's all the stash, I promise. So last thing I want to do is a giveaway. This last week I got those totes and tubs, and so I took my all my magazines that I have. I have almost all of the Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly, and then some other magazines. And I had them in the little cardboard boxes that you slide into your bookshelf. But they had started to fall apart. The bottoms weren't holding real well. They were cheap. I had gotten them at a thrift store. So anyway, I went through my magazines and I realized that I had multiple copies of 4 Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly magazines. So the ones that I have are Winter 2006, Volume 4, so this is an old one. I don't know what year that's from. That's got a cool sampler too. This is a newer one, spring 2015. I think it was one of the very last ones. And then fall 2013. And so I'm going to give somebody all of these because I don't need them, and somebody might have, should have them who would enjoy them. If you win and you don't want all of them, you can give some of them away or whatever, but they're kind of cool, fun to look through. You can, if you're interested, Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly is no longer published, but you can get the entire series on a CD, I believe. So if you look around online for that, you can get all of them on a CD. I like having actual magazines because I like being able to sit in bed and flip through and sit and stitch. And so that's that. So don't say giveaway, but in the comments, I want you to talk about, now I used to make, I made jam, like I said this week. I hadn't made jam for years. I used to make jam every summer. And I loved to make jam, and it's delicious. And so I'm so glad that I sat down and made jam. What is something that you used to cook or make all the time that you don't anymore, but now you're thinking, why don't I make that anymore? It's delicious and I love it. Okay, so tell us something that is like in your repertoire that maybe you have neglected, forgotten about, or just kind of gotten out of the habit of making, but now you're thinking like, oh, maybe I'll make that this weekend. And it would be fun to see what you guys like to cook. So that's what I've got for this week. It was great to spend time with you as always. Thank you always, always, always for your encouragement and your kind comments. I know everybody says it on FlossTube, but you all just really are the sweetest people. And it's so, so nice to be a part of this community. I hope you're all having fun. You're all having a good week. I am. And I will see you, in not too distant future. I'll have some new tutorials out and keep on keeping you updated with what I'm into and what I'm doing. So until next time, bye-bye. See you later.